Yes, I'm Matt once again. Welcome back to another video. And this is going to be a story of a little marathon, probably the last one I do before I head out for the move. Thanks to a nice guy named Till from Germany, he sent me a couple DVDs, which delve into the world of Bruceploitation. And I've been having fun watching these. A lot of these are on YouTube. Most notably at the Wu-Tang Collection YouTube channel. And I figured I'd do a little bit of introduction before I go to each of these films. And the first thing to start off with, I believe, the very first Kung Fu film I ever saw was a Bruceploitation film. I have this film on DVD, but it's packed up, so I can't show it. And I will talk about this film. It's on YouTube, like most of these films are. But when I was a kid, I grew up with martial arts and films in the style of Jean-Claude Van Damme, Chuck Norris, Jeff Speakman, Dolph Lundgren, early Steven Seagal. Those were the martial arts films I grew up with. Bloodsport, or the bits I see in Above the Law, Hard Target, The Perfect Weapon, Lone Wolf McQuade, Firewalker, among others. I didn't grow up with Jackie Chan. The first time I saw Jackie Chan was probably Rumble in the Bronx in 95, 96, whenever that came out. Before then, I didn't know anything about Jackie Chan. And Bruce Lee, I didn't really see his films till I think when I was in my 20s, maybe even late 20s. But yeah, to realize I was some guy, some kid in the middle of nowhere in Iowa on a farm where we didn't have internet, and people at school didn't know anything about movies unless there was a new like Jim Carrey film coming out or Adam Sandler film coming out. But other than that, no one ever talked about movies, so it's not like you could converse someone, have you seen this, seen that? So the only time I knew about movies was renting stuff at the VHS store. Well, more the gas station. It wasn't a VHS store, it was a gas station. Or a little grocery store, which just so happened to have these movies for rent. Or once in a while going to the bigger town where there'd be a place called Shopko or Kmart or something of that sort. They had VHS tapes, maybe pick up some. And I remember having, and I'll talk about this when I review this film, so it'll be a repeat, but it was called Bruce Lee with one E, The Superhero. It was a black VHS tape from Good Times, which is funny looking back because I don't have this VHS tape anymore, but the cover, the guy on the picture wasn't Bruce Lee, and it wasn't Bruce Lee with L-E. It was a totally different person who wasn't in the movie. They had this pose, and then there's a fight scene in like the corner here on the VHS of this Good Times release. And that scene wasn't in the movie either, because it's like him in a room with a shirt off with a bunch of guys around him. That's never in the movie. So with Bruceploitation, you find a lot of false advertising, even back in the day. But Bruce Lee, the superhero, for my entire childhood, I thought that was Bruce Lee. Bruce Lee with one E, L-E. I thought, this guy. I thought, there's another DVD where one of his films is on. I thought that guy was Bruce Lee. Because I didn't know, we only had like 2 or 3 channels, so didn't have cable. While I was around, they didn't have actual Bruce Lee films on VHS to rent or buy. So for, I don't know, for all I know, a decade, I thought that was Bruce Lee. So, and I didn't watch a lot of kung fu films. Like I said, the martial arts films I saw were Jean-Claude Van Damme or Jeff Speakman, Perfect Weapon, or The Karate Kid, or the Ninja Turtles, the Ninja Turtle movies, the cartoon, Three Ninjas, The Karate Kid, 1 and 2. Like, those were the martial arts I grew up with. Then, of course, many years later to find out the whole truth of the matter. And some people might not even know what Bruceploitation is. Pretty much Bruce Lee, I've reviewed a couple of his films on the channel. Enter the Dragon, which is my favorite Bruce Lee film. I really enjoy that film with him and John Saxon and Jim Kelly. Well made, great fight scenes. Just love Enter the Dragon. The Way of the Dragon, aka Return of the Dragon, I reviewed on here. That's where the Coliseum fight between him and Chuck Norris, which is wonderful. There were great scenes of nunchucks. I know it's pronounced nunchuckus, but I prefer nunchucks. Just that's how I'm going to call them. Great usage of that. The Big Boss, which is fun. Granted, it's like his first major break at a little bit lower budget, but The Big Boss I have a lot of fun with. Those are the three I reviewed. I didn't review the Chinese Connection because it has some nice fight scenes, but I just wasn't a fan of the ending of the Chinese Connection. And it kind of turned me off of the film. And Game of Death, technically is a Bruceploitation. For me, it's the worst one, which I know people have, well, that's the best Bruceploitation. I disagree. To me, that's the worst one, because to me, in a way, for me, that's the most offensive one. That's just my opinion. But I've never been a fan of Game of Death. There's some nice Bruce Lee footage with him and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, but I could just watch that in this documentary called The Warrior's Journey, which just has all the footage he shot put together, which is like 30 or 40 minutes of it. And yeah, it's called The Warrior's Journey. For Bruce Lee, he did a couple films, The Big Boss, The Chinese Connection, Way of the Dragon, aka Return of the Dragon, Enter the Dragon. He had filmed a little bit of Game of Death. He went back to finish Game of Death, and he died from, he had a headache. He was given like a painkiller. From what I understand, whatever was in this painkiller or aspirin, he was allergic to. So his cerebral, I think edema is what it's called, swelling of the brain, and he died. And there was all these conspiracy theories. He was murdered, this and that. I don't buy in any of that. I think it's, to this day, people, it's the legend of Bruce. So he had to die a grand way too. He couldn't just have died of a little, like, allergic thing. No way. Because it's something that could have easily been prevented, and that's tough for some people to swallow. But this is a guy on the urge of stardom, much like his son many years later, Brandon Lee, who I enjoy in Rapid Fire. I like The Crow. I love Showdown Little Tokyo. And The Crow would be his big film. He was on the urge of stardom as well, and then his untimely death. But Bruce Lee, Enter the Dragon, I don't think had come out yet. But then that became such a huge phenomenon, and he, who knows what would have happened if Bruce Lee was still with us. But it's like, man, this guy was a big phenomenon, and his name is huge. We need to capitalize on it. So they got a lot of people to pretend to be Bruce Lee, or try to act like Bruce Lee, or kind of look like Bruce Lee, or try to do Bruce Lee type of films. There's a lot of marketing that use actual Bruce Lee on the poster, even though he's not in the film, or artwork that looks very much like Bruce Lee, even though, again, he's not in the film. And it's hilarious, but I can understand it's sort of the ugly stepchild of the Kung Fu market. But I gotta admit, I've been watching quite a few of these, and I've sincerely enjoyed quite a few of these. And I do want to review a couple of them in the next week or so. But a lot of these people, you'd have Bruce Lee as an L-E, Bruce Lee as an L-I, Bruce Ty. One guy had a mustache, so they called him Bronson Lee. You even had one guy named Lee Bruce. You had Dragon Lee. Like I said, Bruce Ty, Bruce Leon, Bruce Lie with L-A-I. It got ridiculous. And there were dozens and dozens and dozens of these movies. throughout the 70s, late 70s, and even early 80s. But then by the beginning the mid 80s, they were dying off because Jackie Chan was becoming popular, very popular, at this mix of comedy and action. And believe it or not, there's actually a couple of these Bruceploitation films where they had a Jackie Chan imitator too. Like, for example, this one called Bruce and Jackie, like Bruce and Jackie to the rescue, or Bruce versus Jackie to the rescue. So, yeah, I mean, a lot of stuff. And I just talk about a couple of these, like Bruce Lee, the superhero. Again, some of these I will review. That one I'll definitely review. Might not be the next one, might be the one after, but that's one that's dear to my heart. Because like I said, Bruce Lee, the superhero, was the first, I have to think, the first Kung Fu film I ever saw. Because I can't think of any other Kung Fu films I saw when I was a kid, other than that one with that VHS tape. So Bruce Lee, this guy here, which, yeah, you look at him, his face doesn't look like Bruce Lee, but I like his look. I like the way he acts. I like, of the Bruce Lee imitators, most people say, well, most who are fans of the genre, they say the best one was Bruce Lee with L-I. He's the one that kind of acted the most like Bruce Lee. But this one, I would say is my favorite because I just like the way his presence, his look, his how he acts, and maybe it's over the top, but I find it very entertaining, very fun to watch. So Bruce Lee with Ellie is my favorite of the imitators. And Bruce the superhero, yeah, a lot of people who would pop up on these that are familiar faces, including Bolo Yun, the bad guy in Bloodsport. Of course, he was in Enter the Dragon. He was in a lot of these movies, Bolo Yun. He was in Bruce Lee the superhero. He's into Enter the Game of Death. He's in the clones of Bruce Lee. He's in The Big Boss 2, where Bolo Yun actually has a Hitler mustache. Yes, The Big Boss 2 with Dragon Lee. Yes, that is Bolo Yun as the villain, and he has a Hitler mustache. And that's what's been fun watching these, just batshit insane, tons of fight scenes. I like the fight scenes. Some of them are not the best choreographed, but it has the sound effects, the music. A lot of times music is stolen from other movies. For example, this one, Kung Fu Avengers, also known as the Soul Brothers of Kung Fu, there's music from Rocky. Most notable, the cue, the final bell. Da, 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 da. Da, 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 da. That's in a couple of these. Sadly, not in the training scenes, weirdly enough, but like when there's a scene with him getting on an airplane, you see the airplane fly, and they play the Rocky music. Some of these have music from, a lot of times from Enter the Dragon. Some from The Warriors. Like Bruce Lee the superhero has music from Enter the Dragon and The Warriors. And that's been fun. Where to start with this stuff, though? I mean, I'll talk about a lot of these. I want to see if I can get this thing. Do this. This might work. So hopefully this works. As you see, there is a multiple amount of these Bruceploitation films. I think this is just the tip of the iceberg. But just to flip through a couple of these. Some of the, I mean, I haven't seen a lot of these. I've seen a couple, but I've heard a lot because there's actually a podcast, a Bruceploitation podcast called the Clones Cast. Uh, this guy named Matthew and then an actor named Michael Worth, they do it together. It's a very fun podcast with a lot of interesting info. And just again, you type in Bruceploitation podcast on Google or you type in the Clones Cast and you'll find it. Again, very fun podcast, but like some of these I haven't seen, but they have some really colorful covers. Like The Dragon Lives, I haven't seen that, but that's with Bruce Lee with Li. That's a biopic. There were a couple of these that were biopics. Like there's Bruce Lee, the man, the myth here. All new, all true, which is bullshit. It's just, yeah. Like this one, The Dragon Lives, a lot of these I've seen bits and pieces of. And this one, there's a weird ending because it's a biopic, and like the ending is Bruce Lee laughing maniacally when he's in bed with, some people thought it was his mistress, Betty Teen Pei. I believe that's how you say her name. Because they thought Bruce Lee had a mistress because he died in this woman's house, which he was going to cast her for Game of Death, and he was at a meeting talking about Game of Death. He had a headache, took a pill, lied down, and then he was dead. So then some people thought, oh, maybe he had a mistress. But it's like lightning and a kaleidoscope, weird effect, and he's laughing maniacally, and it's like the demon of the obsession of getting approval from America killed him. It just insane shit. Like again, a lot of this you can find on YouTube, and if you see the ending to this one, you feel free to explain it to me. Bruce Lee fights back from the grave. I haven't seen, but I've seen bits and pieces and reviews. Uh, my good friend Fabio, the Italian 51, he did a video years ago about Bruceploitation, and he talked about how he saw this and said none of this in the poster happens in the movie. He doesn't fight back from the grave. He doesn't punch vampire bats. Even though that would have been pretty fucking awesome, I would see that movie. And that apparently doesn't even have much to do with Bruce Lee. It's a great poster. Fist of Fear, Touch of Death. I think Fabio talked about this. Fred Williamson and Ron Van Cleef, like they're looking for the next Bruce Lee. This is one I might want to see sometime because I like Fred Williamson. Again, I've been having a lot of fun with these Bruceploitations. The Clones of Bruce Lee I will review sometime. That's batshit insane with Dragon Lee, Bruce Lee with Ellie, and the third one, I forget his name. Um, Bruce Lee, I forget. But Bruce Lee dies and they clone him. And so you have Bruce number 1, Bruce number 2, Bruce number 3. That's how the mad scientist calls them. That's their names. Bruce Lee 1, come here. Bruce Lee 2, over here. And the mad scientist, I believe, is the mafia guy from Way of the Dragon. And I shit you not, there's a scene, Bolo Yun is in this, who trains, I think, Bruce Lee 2 and Bruce Lee 3. And there's a scene literally with another guy making bronze Supermen who have like gold paint on them. And of course the Bruces can't fight them because they're made of metal. So in order to destroy them, they get poisonous plants and shove them into these guys' mouths. And then for some reason these guys keep eating it and the Brosmen are defeated. And that's not even the finale of the movie. So this has been called in Plan 9 from Outer Space of Bruceploitation, but you know, I had fun with it. I had a lot of fun with it. Let's see. Fist of Unicorn. The Real Bruce Lee. I heard about this one. This is the one where a chunk of the film is like a documentary, and you know it says here, we positively guarantee the real Bruce Lee, an early Bruce Lee film found in the Chinese film archives and never seen before. A lot of it, from what I understand, is him as a kid. So it's like childhood movies. And how did you say we have the real Bruce Lee? And then the second half of the film is Dragon Lee, and a film, just a Bruceploitation of film. And I think in the beginning you have Bruce Lee with Li in it as well. Basically, you also got the spirits of Bruce Lee, the dragon dies hard, which also Bruce Lee, a dragon story. I believe, I could be wrong, I believe Linda Lee, the wife of Bruce Lee, I think this is one she tried to sue and succeeded. I believe that's the case. And like she wanted 13 million, but she got like 20,000. I could be wrong, but I think this was the case. Because it's one of those other fake biopics. And I don't know why she succeeded in that when the others didn't. I could be wrong, but that's what I heard on that Bruceploitation podcast. They had mentioned the dragon dies hard. You know, Chinese Godfather, the death of Bruce Lee, which is this guy, or Black Dragon's Revenge, which is this guy, Ron Van Cleef, look into who murdered Bruce Lee. Call Me Dragon, Bruce Lee against Superman, which I looked into that. I didn't see the film, but I flipped through it. None of this is in the movie. It's not that violent at all. Again, a lot of these are false advertising to the 10th power. I believe this is one where it's a Bruce Lee type in a Kato outfit from Green Hornet through most of the film. Brewed by Bruce Lee, his last game of death. I believe this is the one where it starts with a couple people coming in to watch a film, and then you see the film played out. And it never goes back to, hey, this is Bruce Lee's last film. You want to stay and maybe you can finish it? And it plays off like it's another version of Game of Death. And by the end, like the last 25, 30 minutes is him fighting a bunch of guys. I believe it was Bruce Lee with L.I. He's like fighting this wrestler guy, and he's fighting the samurai guy. He's fighting this guy with a sword, and the Bruce Lee, he'll pop down, then pop up behind, and then pop down, pop up behind, as if he had magical powers. That's what I mean. Like when I delve into the rabbit hole, there's a lot of fucking fun to be had in this, for me. Bruce Lee and I, Bruce Lee, the man, the myth. A lot of people say this is a good one, not as a biopic, but as just a fun kung fu movie with fight scenes. But Bruce Lee, we miss you. Dragon dies hard. Well, wait a minute. See, that's another thing with these is that so many of the titles get interchanged. This is the Dragon dies hard. This is Bruce Lee, a Dragon story, and this is Dragon dies hard. So yeah, one of those, from what I understand, Shannon Lee, not Linda Lee, the wife, Linda Lee, sued successfully. I know it was called Dragon Dies Hard. I remember that title. Bruce's Deadly Fingers, which that's definitely one of those I will see. I think this actually got a Blu-ray, believe it or not, which maybe one day I'll pick it up, just because I've liked a lot of these so far, and I kind of want to start collecting them now. Enter the Dragon, Enter the Tiger. This one I had not seen, but I do remember because the Cinema Snob reviewed this a long, long, long time ago, like in one of his early seasons of his show, and about how Bruce Lee talked to the real Bruce Lee, and he's like, if I die, you will be my successor. And there's a scene where the crowd sees Bruce Lee, oh, you're Bruce Lee, and he fakes out a police officer going, oh yeah, I'm the real Bruce Lee. Yeah, that was just a publicity stunt. And the cop buys it, so he lets him in. This is a fight scene by like a beach among the waves. And a lot of these Bruceploitation, they kind of end abruptly. Like sometimes like in the middle of something, or like some of them are just really abrupt endings. And this is one of those movies that they show Bruce Lee dead in his coffin, I think they did it with Game of Death as well and a few others. That was always something that just like, come on, man. Do you really have to go that route? Do you really have to show the actual dead body? I mean, it's right there on the fucking cover. If you can see right there. You know, it's just fucking insane. New Fist of Fury, this is when they wanted Jackie Chan to be the next Bruce Lee. As Jackie Chan later said, I don't want to be the next Bruce Lee, I want to be the first Jackie Chan. But this is when they try to make him that. And I've seen bits and pieces. I don't think I would like that one. Just Jackie doesn't fit. And it's only a film where he was still trying to put his own business into it, despite what they're trying to form him into. And the ending is really downbeat, like him and others get shot and killed. I guess try to mimic, the Chinese connection. So I guess that one, maybe if I ever do a Jackie Chan marathon, but that one I'm not really interested in seeing. But yeah, I mean, look at those, like Bruce and Dragon Fist, The Story of the Dragon, Bruce and Shaolin Kung Fu. I didn't click on that. Well, as this letterbox thing says, Milking the Dragon. Fist of Fury Part 2. I know there's a Fist of Fury Part 3. The last Return of Bruce. Return of the Tiger. Bruce and Shaolin Kung Fu 2. Bruce and Shaolin Bronzeman. The Dragon Lives Again. That's another one I do want to review sometime. Because that's when Bruce Lee has died. He's gone into the underworld, his soul. And in the underworld, he fights James Bond. He kissed Dracula in the face with his third leg. He meets up with Emmanuel, the erotic sex lady in many films. Yeah, meets up with Emmanuel, tries to seduce him. At one point, he's joined by Popeye the Sailor Man and Kane from Kung Fu to fight some guys. In the third act, he fights a lot of mummy men. There are times where he fights people in skeleton suits as if they were the bad guys in the Karate Kid. Remember in the Karate Kid when they had the skeleton suits? I think I read or heard somewhere, I wonder if they stole the skeleton universe Karate Kid from this movie. Does he have the same skeleton? But to me, it reminded me a little bit of Inframan, which I love Inframan. I mean, yet the Clint Eastwood, not the actual Clint Eastwood, but they call him Clint Eastwood, and it's a guy who looks like the man with no name with the poncho. The insanity is just. That's one I kind of wish I had a bit more fights, and it gets a little bit dogged down in places by a couple things. I'll talk about when I review it, but I mean, either you're going to have a ball with these or it's not for you. It's one or the other. But yeah, Bruce Lee's Greatest Revenge, Bruce Lee in New Guinea. This one's called Deadly Strike, Dynamo, Edge of Fury. This one is a lot of fun. This one, it's Bruce Lee with L.E., the guy from Bruce Lee the Superhero. This guy, who I enjoy. That one is just really like 80 minutes of ass kicking, and that's why I enjoy it. And he does the pagoda, and there's like supernatural stuff, and Bull Yun's in it, and that's one I want to get because the version on this is unwatchable. I talked about that when I talk about the movie, because there's a flicker effect that's literally will give you seizures. Apparently, there's a Blu-ray of it in Germany, and then a DVD from Vengeance Video in the UK. So maybe when I get moved in, I do want to pick one of those up. Again, I think there's a Blu-ray of that in Germany, or and Vengeance Video in the UK. It's a Vengeance Video. I want to pick that up sometime. I was able to see it on YouTube, so it is on YouTube. But that one's a lot of fun. That was very entertaining. Just again, if you want just 80 minutes of ass kicking. Enter Three Dragons. The poster you see is reminiscent of Enter the Dragon, but I flipped through it. Because again, I know I repeat myself, a lot of these are on YouTube for free. This Jim Kelly looking guy is not in the movie, and this guy with the glasses is not in the movie either. And I don't think this lady's in the movie either. So they just did this to mimic the poster of Enter the Dragon. It's a cool poster. But like I said, Game of Death. Game of Death, for me, like these, I can have fun with. I have fun with the clones of Bruce Lee. As silly, over the top, what the fuckness, or, I enjoyed the Soul Bros of Kung Fu. Yeah, I thought some really good fight scenes, went at a fast pace. It goes a little bit, I spit on your grave, but not as harsh. Just like his lady gets raped, but they don't go too full force, thankfully. Which makes me hate the villains and cheer when the hero kicks their ass. And there's even a point in this movie where he does like a death touch, and you see a shot where the finger hits the heart, and you see the heart bleeding. Yes, you see like the heart. There's another one that I saw a clip of. I think it's like the Ninja Strikes Back. It's one with Bruce Lee with L.E., where it's like in a coliseum, and he is killing the bad guy, and it cuts to a shot where it's a rib cage, and you see a cartoon of a hand grabbing the rib cage and pulling a rib out. I forget which movie that is, but it just, oh my god, it's fucking insane. I love it. I mean, it just keeps going. I mean, this is the one I was talking about, Bruce the Superhero, that I grew up with. This is the DVD. I have this DVD, but like I said, it's packed up. See, this DVD at least, that is in the movie. And he does fight Bolo Yon in the movie. So this DVD, doesn't lie. And Bruce the Superhero. And even, most of these I don't know much about. Bruce Lee is Bruce Lee and Fist of Bruce Lee. Kung Fu Fever, Bruce Rhee, Rhee, and Ron Van Cleef. They call him Bruce. The True Game of Death. They have a picture of Bruce Lee, but he's not in the movie. Bruce the King of Kung Fu. Fist of Vengeance. The Dragon Showdown. I mean, it goes on. Game of Death 2 I reviewed before. I might review that again, since I'm doing a little mini. It just fit with the little mini marathon. This one I actually like more than the first one. I think the first half of it is sketchy, although there's a couple of decent fight sequences. Because the first half is trying to go into this guy pretend to be Bruce Lee and trying to hide his face. It's like, just don't do that shit. Just be like, some of these films, I mean, they were as crazy silly as they are, they're being their own film in a way. Just do that. And the second half of the film I enjoy because like his friend or brother, I forget what it is, like he goes into this pagoda, but it's, instead of going up, it goes down, and like this futuristic drug lab and death rays and excellent fight scenes, because Yuen Wu Ping, who worked on the Matrix films and others, worked on the fight scenes. And like the second half of this film, Game of Death 2, is pretty damn cool and crazy. There's a guy who's a lion, and then he fights our lead, fights, lion or leopard man, whatever the hell he is. There's another who's like a guy with one arm, and if he's hit it for so long he has one arm, but no, the arm is actually there. I, You know what it is? I think because of how it is today in movies. How fucking insanely mediocre, run-of-the-mill, in one ear out the other Hollywood is nowadays. It's fun going back and really watching these movies for the first time. Because again, the only ones I had seen of Bruceploitation was Game of Death 2, which I reviewed, was it a year ago? And then Bruce the Superhero and Game of Death. Those are the only ones. I think you even mentioned before, hey, I'd like to see more of these. And this is why. Because it's just tons of fight scenes, the old school kung fu. I missed out on that when I was a kid. I didn't watch a lot of that. A lot of people, they saw it in theaters or on cable, on VHS. I didn't get to experience that. And sadly, most of these films, I think a lot of people found them when Walmart I don't think has this anymore. I haven't seen my Walmart. The dollar bin, they don't really do the dollar bin anymore, but I never looked at the dollar bin stuff. But that's where you would find a lot of these movies at. I'm sure some of those 50 packs on Amazon, like 50 kung fu movies. But yeah, a lot of these you're not going to find. Like, although I will say, like, these DVDs, they look good. Like these two. These two, the presentation looked good. They had scratches, but it gave it a nice grindhouse effect, so it was actually welcome. So, like, these were good from Asia Line. Just this one was the really poor one. Everything's like really bad VHS quality. And like I said, the Enter the Game of Death one was unwatchable. Like, literally, I would get a seizure. And I got a headache. I didn't get a seizure. I'm sure it would give people a seizure, but it gave me a headache because it did this flicker thing. Now, I'll talk more when I review that film, but it was weird, like fluttering. And it's like, I can't see. So, but yeah, if you go on Wu-Tang Collection or Wu-Tang channel, it's, again, if you type most of these, it'll lead to that. The only problem with that channel is that sometimes they'll say like the running time is an hour and 40 minutes. So, well, that seems long. It's usually like an hour and 20. They'll show the whole film, but then after the film ends, they'll restart the movie again, and they'll show like the first 10 or 15 or 20 minutes to make it seem like it's an hour and 40 minute. I don't know why they do that, but so, be warned on that front. And yeah, I mean, bad dubbing. I kind of had fun with the dubbing. I don't know. I've just been enjoying a lot of this stuff. I mean, and I do want to check out more. Um, Mission for the Dragon, like that's one that was on here. I can say that one I didn't care for, because of these imitators I've seen, Dragon Lee has done nothing for me. Dragon Lee just does absolutely shit for me. Bruce Lee, the Stars. That's another name for uh, Edge of the Dragon, Enter the Tiger. Like I said, Dragon Lives Again. That's the batshit insane one with Popeye and James Bond and stuff. Enter the Game of Death again. I had to see that on YouTube to watch it. The Big Boss 2 didn't really care for. Other, it was funny that you saw Bolo Young with a Hitler mustache, but that one seemed like it got drawn out and was kind of boring. So I'm not even that type of guy that doesn't say every single one of these are I love. I mean, technically you say none of them are good, but to me, if it's entertaining, I'm fine with the flaws. But like the Big Boss 2, like the reason this DVD is nice because it has the bonus film, The Clones of Bruce Lee, which that was fun. And then this is the Soul Brothers Kung Fu. The interesting thing with this one is there's two endings. And thankfully they do have both versions of the film. One ending is a downbeat, well, more of a downbeat ending, one is more of an upbeat ending. And of course, me, I like the more upbeat ending because there's a guy named Carl Scott, who's a black guy who the character helps out near the beginning. In one ending, he finds his friend dead, hanging, and the other, he finds him alive, tied to a tree. And that's the one I prefer, the more upbeat one. Plus, that has a fun thing at the ending where the two people are like kind of side hugging each other, walking off, and the Rocky music plays. Da, 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 da. I'm like, hey, end it with Rocky music. I'm fine with that. So, but yeah, I mean, there's tons more with these movies. Like, yeah, this has, I don't know, at least 60 of them, and that's not even close to all of them. I just chose this because it had a lot of nice, and some of the posters are really good. I'll say that. I especially love, let's see, where was it? Had it here. A lot of these posters are pretty damn good posters. Where was it? This one I would say is my favorite. That's a pretty damn good one. So yeah, I will be doing a mini marathon. I do know the ones I will review will include the Kung Fu Avengers, also known as the Soul Brothers of Kung Fu, Bruce Lee the Superhero, Enter the Game of Death, The Clones of Bruce Lee, The Dragon Lives Again. Also, I'm not sure if they showed it on here. Yeah, they didn't show a picture of it on here, but Sammo Hung did one that's a parody of Bruceploitation called Enter the Fat Dragon, where Sammo Hung plays a guy who's a fan of Bruce Lee, and there's even a moment where he has a fight with a Bruce Lee imitator type. So it's like Sammo Hung plays a character who is a big fan of Bruce Lee, and again, it's a playoff of Bruceploitation. It's called Enter the Fat Dragon, which Donnie Yen made another movie called Enter the Fat Dragon, but it doesn't really have much to do with Sammo Hung's except Donnie Yen wears a fat suit. I'm not kidding. Look it up. Donnie Yen did a movie called Enter the Fat Dragon where he wears a fat suit. Where again, it's not the plot of Sammo Hung's, but it's the title and I guess some stuff. I'm guessing some stuff similar. I guess. And then even with Bruceploitation, like I said, oh, there's one called Challenge of the Tiger with Bruce Lee with L.E. and Richard Harrison, I believe, where there's a moment where Bruce Lee like fights a bull and fucks up the bull. Maybe that's another one I'll check out. But yeah, when it got into the beginning, the mid 80s, they died out because Jackie Chan and then other people started showing up, Jet Li and many others. And I can't, it is definitely a weird thing because there's not another actor that has a subgenre like this. Could you imagine if they did like a Brandonploitation? Like a bunch of people pretend to be the Crow, and or like a bunch of people pretend to be Brandon Lee, or Heath Ledgertation, like Heathploitation with Heath Ledger when he passed away, like Brandonploitation, Heathploitation. I mean, Paulploitation when Paul Walker passed. Paulploitation. I mean, it will never happen again. I know a lot of this is deemed in poor taste, and I can understand. I mean, that's kind of how I feel about Game of Death. We got a point where you gotta put a fucking picture of Bruce Lee on a fucking mirror. I don't know why. Just that one just rubbed me the wrong way, as opposed to these. I can't really describe it, but you had other films that dealt with Bruce Lee, like No Retreat, No Surrender, which had Bruce Lee's ghost, And yeah, that bothered me, but I think that's because the film itself I'm just not a fan of. I love Van Damme. I reviewed all of his films. I have a playlist on my channel where I reviewed all of Jean-Claude Van Damme's movies. I love many of his films. Bloodsport, Kickboxer, Time Cop, Hard Target is my favorite. Yeah, I got a poster of Hard Target right there. I love the majority of Van Damme films. The Order, In Hell, JCVD, Cyborg, even Double Team and Knockoff I like. There's some I don't, but I mean, I review them. If you want to know, feel free to check out my playlist on my channel with my Van Damme reviews. Again, I reviewed, I think, all of his movies, even his lesser known ones, like the one where he plays the gay karate guy cameo. I reviewed that fucking thing because Van Damme was in it. So again, but No Retreat, No Surrender. Van Damme was good. I didn't care for the lead. I didn't care for the music. You know, a lot of people like the soundtrack. I love 80s soundtracks. I love Rocky IV soundtrack. I love the soundtrack to Rad. Thunder in Your Heart. You know, I like the soundtrack to the 80s Transformers movie. You know, the Kickboxer, Bloodsport soundtrack. There's many soundtracks from the 80s I love, but not No Retreat, No Surrender. I don't like any of the songs in that movie. I really don't. And Van Damme was the only thing I liked about it. If he was somehow became the hero and killed the lead and saved the day or whatever the fuck, maybe I like No Retreat, No Surrender 2. I like more than the first one. But with that, Bruce Lee goes training the lead. I'm like, don't waste your time on this fucking guy. Go to Van Damme. Bruce Lee goes training Van Damme. Then maybe hell, get this guy. If this guy played Bruce Lee and was training Van Damme, I want to see that movie. This Bruce Lee, playing a ghost of Bruce Lee training Van Damme. If Van Damme's the hero, I'll see that movie. If it was in the 80s. You also had They Call Me Bruce and They Still Call Me Bruce, which they're not Bruceploitation. They're more comedies where a guy keeps being mistaken for Bruce. But that stars a guy named Johnny Yoon. He was a stand-up comedian. And I think he became very successful and had his own talk show overseas. And I don't know if he's still with us, but They Call Me Bruce I enjoy. I remember a scene where he's doing the nunchuck, like, Kia! And the glass just breaks. Was that you? No. Memorex. They Call Me Bruce is a lot of fun. The sequel is a step down, but I can still watch it. It does. The sequel has David Mendenhall, the little kid from Over the Top. But the first one is definitely the better one. They Call Me Bruce is a lot of fun. That's one I want to review one day. Maybe when I get settled in after the move, I'll pick that DVD out and review it. Oh yeah, The Last Dragon, which that's a fun one. Great soundtrack. And Barry Gordy's Last Dragon. I like Timac. That's how you pronounce it, Timac. Timac. He was a fan of Bruce Lee and great music. You are the last dragon. You have the power of the globe. You know what? It'll never happen, but if someone took like footage from all these movies and Last Dragon and like did a tribute with that song, you are the last. I'd love to see that. That's a great song. Last Dragon's a fun one. I'm not sure if I have it. Maybe one day I'll review it. If I don't have it, I'll pick it up one day. That's a fun one. I'm trying to think what else with Bruce Lee. We had Dragon the Bruce Lee story. That's one I want to give another watch. I remember the score being beautiful. Jason Scott Lee doing a great job acting wise. I think I was mad at the time because it's supposed to be a biopic and it's doing shit that's not how it happened. Like Bruce Lee did not hurt his back in a fight. He like I think the way he hurt his back in the movie is not how it happened in real life. I want to say, I could be wrong, he hurt his back from lifting weights, not from a fight. But I think the movie I haven't seen that movie in forever, but I think the movie says, oh, he hurt his back in a fight. Like, did he? See, I don't know, because, it's a biopic, but it's some bullshit in it, too. And the whole nightmares with the fucking statues. But I don't know, maybe I'll rewatch it, look at it a different way. As, okay, it's not 100% true biopic. It's a dramatization of his life. So, I think I'll pick it up again on DVD and give it another look. I might like it more the second time around, dragging the Bruce Lee story. Yeah, I know the score is beautiful, and Jason Scott Lee does a good job. So, I do want to give out another look. And like I said in the beginning, I have reviewed some of Bruce Lee's films. I love Enter the Dragon. I like Return of the Dragon. I like The Big Boss. Those are the three I've reviewed. The Chinese Connection has some fun fights, but the story and the ending just didn't care for. And Game of Death, just having a picture of Bruce's face on a fucking mirror to pretend to be Bruce, and all the ways trying to cover his face, like, just fucking, that just annoys me. Don't play me for a fool, okay? At least flat out, tell us, yeah, we're bullshitting you. But anyway, trying to think of anything else. I don't want to leave something out. Yeah, I guess that's my talk about Bruceploitation. Conversation about Bruceploitation. I don't know how to title the video. But yeah, if go on YouTube, type out Bruceploitation, or type out, Bruce Lee with L-I or L-E or Wu-Tang Collection, you'll find a lot of these type of movies for free on YouTube. And there's like I said, interesting podcast called the Clones Cast, or just go to Google and type in Bruceploitation podcast or Clones Cast, you'll find it. Pretty neat stuff. Michael Worth, that it definitely seems like a guy who has a lot of knowledge about the subject. And I definitely want to pick up more of these. Thanks to, Till from Germany. Because again, I saw a couple and this really got my gears going for it. So, and if you are a fan of Bruceploitation, what are some of your favorites? And what are some that you're like, hey, you should check this out, man? Feel free to listen down below. And we'll see what happens. So thanks for watching. Take care. And we'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.